The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
It's Tuesday, March 17th, 2026, and I am currently hunkered down at the sanctuary while a particularly aggressive sleet storm tries to peel the paint off my barn.
Well, I hope the goats are inside, John. From my vantage point in the Panopticon, the weather looks perfectly clear, though the political forecast is, shall we say, significantly more turbulent.
Well, Mitch the goat is currently trying to chew through a copy of the Congressional Record, which is probably the most productive use for it this week. Anyway, we've got an action-packed show today. Yesterday we were talking about that resistance sweep at the Oscars and the grim reality of $1 billion a day being set on fire in Iran. But today the focus shifts back to the home front.
Oh, and what a front it is. I mean, I'm telling you, John, the news cycle is spinning so fast, I'm actually starting to get a little dizzy. And I'm a man who lives for the spin.
Well, let's see if we can slow it down just enough to see the cracks. We're looking at criminal referrals for cabinet members, a source of truth that's anything but, and a certain baseball-themed proposal for our 51st state that honestly makes me want to go live in the woods permanently.
No, not the woods, not yet. We need you here to yell at the internet.
Look, I mean, someone has to. Let's start with the big one. Julian, you've been tracking the fallout from the Frontier Secretary all morning. What's the latest on Kristi Noem?
It is absurd, John. I mean, truly. Yesterday, Jamie Raskin and Dick Durbin finally pulled the trigger. They formally referred outgoing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to the Justice Department for criminal investigation.
We are talking perjury. We are talking false statements to Congress.
It's the horse ads. It always comes back to the horse ads.
It is always the horse ads.
Look, I gotta say, the sheer gall of it is what gets me. I mean, we're talking a $220 million DHS media campaign, taxpayer money, mind you, intended for border security.
Right.
And instead of, actually securing a border, the ads were basically a series of high-glamour vanity shots of Noem riding a horse near Mount Rushmore. And then she goes before Congress, raises her right hand, and testifies under oath that the process was, quote-unquote, competitively bid.
Look, I mean, Julian, look, that is not just a lie. That is a demonstrably false statement in a room full of people whose job it is to catch demonstrably false statements.
Exactly, and the referral doesn't even stop there. They've also got her on record claiming DHS was following federal court orders. While at the same time, a judge in Minnesota was literally threatening to jail federal officials because of over 200 documented violations of detention conditions.
It's the dual-track justice system. I've been saying it for weeks. If you're a loyalist with a good PR team and a saddle, the law is just a suggestion. If you're anyone else, it's a hammer.
It's institutional arson, John. She's treating the Department of Homeland Security like it's her own TikTok account.
Well, speaking of hammers, let's talk about Oklahoma.
Oh, God.
Here's the thing. Everyone loves a good database, right? It sounds so objective, so tech-forward. Well, a major report just came out about an internal project within the Oklahoma Corporation Commission called, and I am not making this up, the Source of Truth. But despite that name, and the report reveals a pattern of systematic neglect that's, honestly, is breathtaking.
You're right.
The regulators identified over 1,400 oil and gas wells that were operating without any legal pressure or volume limits for wastewater injection.
1,400?
1,400. And instead of shutting them down or issuing fines, internal records show the agency preferred to, and I quote, lead with a handshake instead of a hammer.
Oh, spare me, a handshake.
A handshake. They haven't fined a single company for wastewater leaks, they call them purges, in the last 5 years. And Julian, these purges aren't just puddles. They're toxic eruptions of salt water and benzene. We've got ranchers in Caddo and Logan counties losing cattle, dozens of them, because they're drinking from water sources tainted by this stuff.
It's corporate capture, pure and simple.
It's worse than capture. It's a death warrant. 88% of those 1,400 violating wells are still active today. They injected over 100 million gallons of wastewater last year while the regulators were busy shaking hands.
I'm telling you, this is why people lose faith in the system. When the source of truth is just a ledger of how much poison you're allowed to dump for free, why would anyone trust a regulator?
Look, it's the same energy as the Noem thing. It's that visceral, biological pessimism I'm always talking about. The institutions are being used as shields for the people doing the damage.
It is absurd. Look, John, I'm with you. It's a disgrace.
Well, look, before we get into the rest of this mess, the Title X cliff, the Illinois primary, and the baseball annexation.
Oh, God.
I need to take a second.
Go for it, John.
Look, independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure.
Right.
You're 100% here because of the vision and the grind of our creator, Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media.
Exactly.
He's not a media conglomerate. He is a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations.
Exactly.
Look, if you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please like, subscribe, and consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia to support this work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running.
I mean, I gotta say, John, Eric is the real deal. It's that grit that keeps us going.
Yeah, it's the only thing keeping the gears from grinding to a halt.
Look, speaking of things grinding to a halt, we need to talk about the bureaucratic trap being set for reproductive health clinics.
Go ahead.
My thing is the timing. It's always the timing with these people. Late Friday night, March 13th, HHS releases this new guidance for Title X continuation grants. Now remember, Title X is the only federal grant program dedicated solely to low-income family planning.
All right.
We're talking about 2.8 million patients, 4,000 clinics, cancer screenings, STI tests, the basics. And HHS gives them exactly 1 week until March 20th to reapply for their funding before it expires on April 1st. 7 days, John. 7 days to re-engineer their entire administrative structure to comply with new rules that, get this, eliminate the Biden-era quality family planning standards and strip out the requirements for equity and inclusion.
Look, I mean, Julian, that's not an application. That's a hostage situation.
A bureaucratic trap. That's exactly what the advocates are calling it.
It's absurd.
It is absurd. They want these clinics to fail. They want them to miss the deadline so they can point at the shambles and pull the plug entirely.
It's legislative constipation by way of a stopwatch. You can't move that much paperwork in 7 days. It's a national edging session where the clinics never get to finish their paperwork and the patients are the ones who get screwed.
I mean, your metaphors are vivid, John, but you're right.
Well, look, I mean, let's look at who's actually trying to fix this, or rather who's fighting for the soul of the party that claims they want to fix it.
Illinois.
The primary is today, and Julian, the money is just, it's nauseating. We've got an open Senate seat, 5 open House seats, and IPAC has funneled over $21 million into these races.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's a shell game.
Exactly. And the biggest fight is in the 9th district. IPAC-aligned groups have dropped nearly $6 million in negative ads against Daniel Biss, the mayor of Evanston.
Wow.
But here's the thing. The spending has backfired so spectacularly that Kat Abu Zahaleh, a Palestinian-American progressive who was way down in the polls, has surged to 2nd place.
I love it. I mean, I gotta say there's nothing more satisfying than seeing $20 million of corporate money go up in smoke.
Look, I mean, it's a glitch in the matrix, Julian. She's framing the race as local representation versus billionaire-funded interests.
Right.
But then you look at the Senate primary. Raja Krishnamurthy is sitting on a $30 million war chest. $30 million. he's running against Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, but how do you compete with $30 million? That's not a campaign. That's a corporate acquisition.
But John, the polls are showing that support for Israel is cratering among Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
The donors are spending more because they are scared. They're losing the hearts and minds of the base, so they're trying to buy the results instead.
Mm-hmm. Look, I want to believe that, Julian. I really do. But when the result is bought, the hearts and minds don't matter for the next 6 years. It's performative masturbation on a grand scale.
Okay. But let's get to the main event, because I know you've been stewing on this one since yesterday.
The baseball statehood.
The Venezuela Gambit.
Look, Julian, I have seen a lot of weird things in 5 decades on this dying rock. I have seen the steel trap get canceled mid-sentence. I have seen politicians do things that would make a Roman emperor blush.
Right.
You have seen everything, but I have never, ever seen a president suggest that a country become the 51st state because they won a baseball game against Italy.
It is absurd, but look, I gotta say, it's a brilliant, terrifying distraction.
Is it a distraction or is it a trial balloon?
Oh, it's both. Look at the context. Operation Absolute Resolve happens in January. Maduro is in custody in New York. We're basically running a transitional government in Venezuela.
Under acting President Delcy Rodriguez, who, let's be honest, isn't doing much without checking in with D.C. first.
Exactly. And then Venezuela wins a game in the World Baseball Classic, and Trump posts on Truth Social, "Good things are happening to Venezuela lately. I wonder what this magic is all about. Statehood, number 51. Anyone?"
My thing is, he's connecting sports triumph to geopolitical integration. It's Gilded Age optics for a modern audience.
Look, Julian, this is where we disagree. You think it's a brilliant distraction. I think it's a visceral biological urge to annex oil reserves. No, seriously, the UN fact-finding mission just issued a report warning about expansionist lenses. If Venezuela becomes a state, even if the talk is just rhetoric, it shifts the narrative from temporary intervention to permanent colonial integration.
Right.
If they are the 51st state, all those oil reserves aren't Venezuelan anymore. They're American. And they're not subject to international law or sanctions. They're subject to the Department of the Interior.
Look, you're talking about the permanent annexation of a sovereign nation under the guise of stability.
And baseball. Don't forget the baseball. But John, do you honestly think the American public would go for that?
Julian, have you met the American public lately? We're a country that treats election cycles like national edging sessions. We love a spectacle. If you tell people they can have cheaper gas and a world-class baseball team, they'll vote for anything. It's the pathologization of policy.
But the international backlash, the friends of JAG are already protesting. This undermines every claim we have ever made about liberation. It turns absolute resolve into absolute theft.
Look, I'm looking at the right-wing outlets. They're framing it as a success story, a liberation that works so well, the people want to be us.
Oh, spare me.
I'm telling you, it's the ultimate expression of the current administration's transactional diplomacy. Everything is for sale, and if we can't buy it, we'll just invite it to dinner and then lock the doors.
It's institutional arson on a global scale.
It's the Roman Empire falling, Julian, but with better slow-motion replays of home runs.
Look, even if it is a trial balloon, the fact that we're even discussing it shows how far the Overton window has been smashed with a bat.
Right.
We're not talking about spreading democracy anymore. We're talking about adding stars to the flag.
Here's the thing, Julian. I'm sitting here on my farm grooming Mitch the goat, and I look at the purity of nature, and then I look at the news, and I realize that the only difference between my livestock and the legislative branch is that the goats actually have some sense of shame when they eat something they're not supposed to.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's a feeding frenzy.
It's performative masturbation while the house burns down.
Look, John, we have to keep the faith. If Abu Ghazaleh can surge in Illinois against $20 million, there is still a pulse.
I hope you're right, Julian. I really do. But my gut, which is usually right about these things, says we're one bad baseball game away from invading Greenland because they have a good curling team.
Greenland's next, I'm telling you.
Look, we've got to wrap this up before I start hyperventilating.
Fair enough.
Look, recap. Noem is in the DOJ crosshairs. The Oklahoma source of truth is a pack of lies. The Title X clinics are being squeezed by a stopwatch. And Illinois is a battleground of billionaire bucks.
And Venezuela is the new Puerto Rico, but with more oil.
Look, I mean, don't even get me started on Puerto Rico. All right, everyone. That's the show for today. Do us a favor. Don't drink the water if you live in Caddo County. Don't believe anyone who says statehood is just about baseball. And for the love of God, check on your local health clinic.
Stay sharp, stay loud, and keep fighting.
Yeah. Or just stay home and feed a goat. It's better for your blood pressure.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.